achieved so far. What are those key things that we can look at and say, yes, we have moved on?
Yes, of course, despite the challenges we have, the challenges we have, I think, first of all, we need to applaud our government that there are major changes, there are major sectors. You see the will, first of all, the political will to develop the SMEs, but also, apart from the political will, also the infrastructural adjustments. Now, like at least we have an increased road network that can easily ease the way of doing business by kind of transportation. We are also seeing probably actually the major element, which is some relative security, at least compared to the times maybe 30 or 40 years back. At least we have some relative security, and someone can do business across the country, which is a very good element. We have also seen government probably taking part in the formation of the East African community, and also expanding even beyond the three traditional East African community, which means that there is that element of how do we get a bigger market, how do we operate in a bigger market. We are also seeing that the policies, government is coming on board with special policies, especially to help the SMEs. We have seen the local content bill, now I think it is an act. We have seen the Bubu policy. Yes. We have seen government trying to create, they call them trade, free zone trade areas. We have seen government creating industrial parks. We have seen government at least engaging even the MSMEs. We have seen government at least adjusting on the taxes that may help the SMEs. Of course, it is a journey, and maybe we can talk about what we expect. But at least we cannot say that something has not been done. Yes, we have achieved a certain part, and of course the involvement that if we can say that most of the businesses are now locally owned, and most of the businesses are SMEs. At least that is also a great achievement to show that the SMEs contribute a big percentage of the taxes that come in the government. Because ideally you cannot expect greater services without paying the taxes, you know. So we have to improve the capacity of SMEs so that they can contribute enormously today to the revenue collection of the government. So basically, we also see, as I told you, that we have a problem of a challenge of the mindset. But I think also government is trying to see that there is that change, a mindset change. There are programs now that are basically being done for mindset change. In Nigeria, we also do entrepreneurship scaling, where we take through business people on how the principles of managing business, you know. So, you know, people have a tendency to, they have that thinking that once I begin my business, this is my business, and anything to do with my business
is no one's business.
Is no one's business. Forgetting that the business is alone, and you are also alone. You are also alone. So that element, people must begin to know that when you're managing a business, it is independent from me. So I also take a salary from my business. Yeah. So those are simple concepts, but I think we now start to realize a change, and probably as we go along, then there is light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. So I think we cannot say that there are no achievements completely. We have seen certain achievements, and we hope if this continues, then probably we can realize the objective of improving our incomes and livelihood, and also improving the business sector of the country.
Okay. Yes. All right. And then if we were to look at, besides the achievement, let's look at the way forward. What next for the country? Because I want to believe the sector is steadily growing. And we're looking at most of the traders being, and the trader community belongs to that same sector. But what is the way forward? Where do we see the sector now? If we are to draw another 60 years with the fact that now we have technology being part of the situation to do with business, what next then?
Now you see, yes, we have evolved so much and we have grown, and there are also so many now. The business portfolio has grown enormously. Besides being agriculture, predominantly agriculture, we now have so many sectors. However, I think where we can realize now is to be a little bit more strategic.
Okay.
If we want to really grow this country into an industrial economy. And that means that we need to see where our comparative advantage is. And then if we realize that our comparative advantage is in agriculture, for example, then we have to analyze anything that links to agriculture.
Okay.
And then let's focus on where we have a comparative advantage compared to others. I would be able to think that we might have a comparative advantage in agriculture. The only challenge is that, of course, agriculture, so many countries also produce, especially those around us, produce agricultural products like us. But that doesn't mean that you can strike through. Now, if you have a good strategy, and then we have that now, let's develop the small businesses along the big businesses, because we realize that if we think that now our major component is agriculture, this comes along with basically all the planning in the country. For example, if it is physical planning, if you talk about agriculture, you need to do commercial agriculture. You need to move from excuse me. You need to move from subsistence to commercial agriculture. What this means is that you also need to plan for the housing and then for the town setups. Because these days we realize that you can build anywhere and you can set up anything anywhere. So what does means that you are now encroaching on the land that would be used for agricultural produce, for agricultural product, for commercial farming. So if we align our strategy and we see that now, if it is agriculture that is now spearheading the industrial sector, the industrialization of the economy, then we shall align all our efforts
into the agriculture
sector. And you see, when we talk about the agriculture sector, people think that it is take a hoe, go and dig.
Okay.
Only. No. It means that you can do anything that is linked, either inputs or outputs or even products from agriculture. For example, we should be able to manufacture our chemicals. We should be able to manufacture our tools, gardens. We should be able to manufacture maybe the drugs and what concerning that. Now, all those are agriculture based, but doesn't mean that everybody is going into the garden you know. There are linkages. For example, the exports. If you say, for example, these days we had a shortage of wheat, you know, simply because Ukraine was at a war. Now you can simply imagine that we are, if you combine the East African community, we are bigger than Ukraine, but we are still surviving on Ukraine and Russia to feed us. Now that is kind of a shame we must outlive, you know. Let's utilize the land we have, let's utilize the resources we have, and then let's see what can we produce comparatively low compared to the other countries. Then that will lead us to even bigger industrial sectors. The only challenge you have is that we think that when you talk about industrialization, you set out have to manufacture car, you set out have to manufacture bus, you set out have to manufacture big things. But you can begin with what you have. Okay. If we are agriculture based, then our agriculture will bring in trade, agriculture will bring in tourism, agriculture will bring in even all other services. So I think as a way, the main challenge now is what we have not yet defined is, if we want to go industrial, then what strategy are we using? What is our basis? You know, do we just leave him to say that, you know, do whatever you want? Yes, you can do whatever you want, but I think that will limit us from achieving from achieving our goal. So if we look at another 60 years from now, our strategy should be that let's use what we have so that we can plan accordingly and then develop economically through by linking to other sectors and also promoting our exports and so on.
All right. Yes. Okay. Now your final remarks as we're winding up with our discussion.
Yes, I think my final remarks will be, first of all, I congratulate every Ugandan. Okay. For the 60 years. There's not so many people in the country that are 60 years and above. True. And anybody who's 60 years, I think that must be remarkable. But then we also have to realize that at 60 years we should be doing things differently. True. You know, we should have goals to realize, and our goals shouldn't be maybe to have so many kids and what. But let's look at the countries that were the same status quo 60 years back, that now have greatly developed. So let's have that inspiration, and then we sit down. We sit down and plan strategically, so that because you know, this is not because the government is a key stakeholder, but it's not government alone. Even the private sector, everybody should now change the way is doing business. You know, so that you align yourself to an international thinking. If you are to realize, if our goal is to be where, for example, Malaysia is, then we should refresh our minds and then start doing things differently. Otherwise, I wish a nice independence.
All right. There you have it from David Busura Javira, who is the Finance and Administration of the Uganda Small Scale Industries Association, that is UZIA, who is taking us through Uganda at 60, the journey of the SMEs since independence in 1962. And of course, to everyone under the sector, we still wish you a happy Independence Day celebrations wherever you are and how you will be catching it from in any part of the world. But if at all you're a Ugandan, that is something you will definitely want to be part of that celebration. We've come from far, we are still heading far, so we want to look back at the challenges and the achievements and see how we build onto that. And in that way, things will be easier. Anyway, besides that, that brings us to the end of our topic of discussion this morning. And now, time for the SMB Insight. And in today's SMB Insight, we look at how graduates have been challenged to be more open-minded, because when you look at the fact that the employment space is very competitive and so is the business space, these graduates, or many of those that are still pursuing different courses at universities and other higher institutions of higher learning, have been reminded by the managing director of National Social Security Fund, Mr. Richard Byarugaba, on tapping into these spaces but being more prudent and more open-minded. Let's have more from the SMB Insight.
The most important thing is that businesses need to adapt and become resilient. And hopefully I can share with some of those things that they can do to become resilient as an organization. It is all around the mind. You need to change your mindset to something I'm calling growth mindset. What is that about? This is just a simple calculation of how many people of our graduates actually get jobs. Only 20% or less than 20% will find work when they graduate. What happens to the 80%? That's the bad news. So the bad news is that there will be no jobs for these kids that come out, because there aren't any companies producing those number of jobs. So what does that mean? It means that if you are to run your enterprise, if you are to run your organization, your enterprise or anything else, you will need to hire a different kind of graduate. And that different kind of graduate is the one I call with a growth mindset, where you are open to new information rather than a fixed mindset, which is static and does no longer apply. So the problem with the fixed mindset is that yes, you can get a degree, but as I have used the example before, Tesla as an example, they don't give a hoot about how you have graduated, how clever you are, because what they are looking for is that guy who has an open mindset. That open mindset is somebody who is ready to learn, who is ready to embrace change, who is persistent in the face of setbacks, who is able to actually force and improve on their way of doing things, becoming a master, learn from criticism, and find lessons in success, even in the failures that they've learned to do. It's a different way of looking about problems, because in school they teach us about remembering things, remembering facts, and sort of regurgitating those facts. What they don't teach us is how to become flexible, to be agile, to be open-minded, to be critical, to be in a position where we are able to actually show that we will add value to the organization. In other words, I believe that every single kid that comes out of, I'm sure you know that guy, if you don't, he's one of the great guys who's created a little enterprise around medicine. He's a doctor. But everybody needs to begin to think as an entrepreneur right from school. And I believe that the future of the young people has so much to offer and promise. However, not much has been done to harness this potential. I always tell this. I had two little girls, not anymore, 20 and 23. But they show me so much that is so different to my own background and upbringing. They are so open-minded. They absolutely think outside of the box from what we used to think at the time we are. And I believe that most of the young people have actually got that openness. And that openness is such a great tool for creativity, is such a great tool for thinking outside of the box, is such a great tool of being agile. One of the things that people ask me is, as CEO of NSSF, what is it that keeps me awake? Right? And this is always my answer. And I'll answer it again and again. I believe that the thing that really keeps me awake is a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, or even a 17-year-old. I'm now beginning to sort of hesitate because as you grow older, you become stuck in your ways. So 13, 14, 15, even 16-year-old, creating an app that totally disrupts NSSF to make sure that it no longer can offer the service it is offering. Because that can happen. A young man can come in, or a young lady can come in with an idea that he sells to the market, and people stop contributing to NSSF and start contributing to this app. And he's got a great investment idea, which means that they give good returns and so on and so forth.
And so there you have it. So the university graduates need to as well understand that every other year, thousands and thousands from various institutions are graduating. So sometimes you may get to realize that competition for an available space in the market may be intense, and it may be very difficult for you to tap into that space. So besides that, if you want to continue having the chances, is to be very wise, prudent, and very skillful or innovative, because sometimes the spaces may be difficult for you to maneuver through easily after graduation, but then you can create opportunities for yourself and see how you can tap into these ones as well. And that is it for the SMB Insight. Meanwhile, after the break, we are getting on ground, and stick around because we are heading to Lugogo this time now to see what is happening from there. The Uganda Manufacturers Association International Trade Fair Expo. Stick to Smart Means Business.
Smart 24, driving business.
The taste of Uganda in a new international park.
Vimba ne MTN Kabode Super esimu ya sereza ngabukisasulira mpola mpola kuba amasimu tusa status za WhatsApp laba mu video ku YouTube oba kozesa Google okumanya buli ekiri wansi w'enjuba ku GB2 tukuweza buli mwezi okumala emyezi 7 sasulako emitwalo 99 zokka ezisigadde osasula mpola mpola kati okola ki leero genda ku dduuka lya MTN erikuli okumpi weefunire MTN Kabode Super mangu
Either tell us what we want to know, or your story ends here. Are you ready to talk?
Oshitegeera kati sanyu ne boyfriend we bagwe bati oluggi nga muzeyi kiro balwankubirako wange mpeme dakika 2.
For stories you can't let go, only on Pearl Magic Prime.
He must be rich, tall, handsome, from a respectable family. He must have a maid because at our home we do not work.
Conductor Masao.
Why? Kubadde olobye ku ssimu?
Yamunange, anti your TV enkolera.
Enjoy a new world of entertainment with over 80 TV and radio channels, plus movies from wherever you are. Download the Yo TV Channels app from your app store and enjoy 30 days of free streaming with MTN.
Yo TV Channels.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest.
Smart 24, driving business.
Saving or securing for the future does not only mean investing in stocks, real estates, or companies, but there are so many chances of becoming a billionaire through practicing agriculture. You don't need a very big plot of land or large capital to start, but slowly by slowly you can build an empire. Uganda's economy is made up of agriculture, services, and industry sectors. But agriculture comes out as the backbone of Uganda, employing 70% of the population and contributing half of the country's exports and earnings. Agriculture being the main supplier of raw materials for several companies, and it's readily marketed both in urban and rural areas. There are so many chances of the next billionaires coming from agriculture. From the farmers to the processors, from the processors to the traders, and from the traders to the final consumers. We shall be taking you through the whole agriculture chain. My name is Chris Chitaka Haman, and this is Farm Smart, showing every Friday 7 to 8 p.m. only on Smart 24 TV, driving business.
Uganda has the world's youngest population with 78% of the youth.
For every 10 young people, 8 are unemployed. Unemployment is that rampant in the country.
Why are youth unemployed? It's because they don't want to invest and save.
Before you save and invest, you have to have a business idea.
After getting the business idea, you need capital to start up the business. But how are you going to get this capital?
You can get capital from friends, relatives, circles, or even the government.
We will be talking about how to create a business idea and how to generate capital to support the business idea. I am Martha Ninsima.
And Samalina Wagala on The Lounge.
Every Saturday, 10 a.m. on Smart 24 TV, Driving Business.
Don't miss on Smart 24 TV.
Smart 24, Driving Business.